The following discussion with the independent Fallout Wiki was recorded spring 2024 at C3, Community Creations Con. Topics discussed include resources the wiki offers modders, wiki community pages and activities, how to get involved, and much more. Chapters have been added for your convenience. Hello and welcome, Wastelanders and convention goers and Bethesda aficionados of all kinds. So happy to have you here today. Wonderful, wonderful to see y'all. Vault 16, don't even worry about issues with the raid. You made it here, so many of our friends did. We're just happy to see you. In fact, we're happy to see everybody. I can't shout them all out, but we've got some regulars, some new people. I am just really excited. Let me tell you quickly, just a little bit of business out of the way, what we're doing tonight. So tonight is the final panel of C3 Community Creations Con, and I hope everyone has had a great convention so far. If you have a favorite panel, please drop it in chat. I am curious. I've enjoyed everything. I caught Fallout London. I even caught the X edit briefly this morning at Wake Up. I was groggy. I didn't understand it, but I watched some of it. So it's the thought that counts. Also, I really enjoyed Eleanor's armor. Did you know she's got some new armors in the compendium? Really enjoyed some of those. Some I'm definitely wearing. There was one inspired by I think it was Chris the Key. That was Kowalski's water supply shirt. Awesome. Love it. Kowalski always advertising. That kid knows how to sell. Genuosity, good to see you. Inkling, good to see you. Dropping one of my fave emotes. Appreciate that. So yeah, I hope everyone has had a good convention. Because we're the last one, if we go a little over tonight, I hope people don't mind, but we're going to let the wiki people do what they do and just kind of go through things for you. I also want to mention we are streaming for Make-A-Wish. And if you, right there is the link. It's going to be dropped into chat off and on all night, but you can click on that if you would like to donate to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's the cause we're raising money for C3. I think we're almost up to $4,000 raised already today, last I checked. So just thank you. Thank you to all of you. Y'all are amazing, as always, turning out not just to celebrate the games, but celebrate the spirit of our community. And that's really something special. So, all that said, I'm going to hand this over to the Independent Fallout Wiki panel. And we have Kate Aces down here in my lower left. We have Blubbin up there in the upper left. And we have MeatServo in the lower right. From here, Kate, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, you bet. Thank you so much for having us, Jessica. You are the best, and we owe you a great debt for letting us squat here. We're not the most Twitch
Pleasure.
aficionado users, so we appreciate it a lot. Like she said, my name is Kate. I am the main shenanigan curator of the Independent Follow Wiki. Rubbin is one of our overseers and community engagement aficionado. And MeatServo, our technical lead, data miner, and ultimate site godifier. So appreciate them a lot. We're just really excited to be here and to explain a little bit about our site. We're the independent Fallout Wiki, and we're going to go into a little bit more about our site and how it impacts and enhances the work of modders and community creators. Our site launched last year. Really proud to offer a new resource for folks. The site's just run by regular fans. We don't have any ads. It's all volunteer, but we really have a strong focus on modding and verifying all the information that's on the site. And this is really important to us because we know that modders are using our site as a resource for their own work, which means a ton to us. And being a trustworthy source is super paramount. Today, I wanted to show everybody a little bit, a couple parts of our site that are more or less brand new. That's up. Great. So, main part of our site is called Fallout Mod Central, and you can kind of see some new ones, some mainstays. Uh, you can search by mod authors and developers, or you can look by game. A couple of resources here, and some guides as far as if modders want to build their own mod pages or if they want us to help out. So, an example of a page, I'm going to use Odolino's amazing mod, America Rising 2.
Love Odalina, great guy.
Right, right. Legacy of the Enclave. So he let us kind of cover his mod from the top down. And with mods, we cover them just like we cover any other game. So we've got characters, credits, factions, locations, quests, the whole 9 yards. That's kind of cool to be able to cover mods the same way. If people are stuck in a quest or they're trying to find a gun or just same sort of stuff you use for the wiki for anyway. We also have a section that I'm super proud of and excited about, which is we have pages for mod authors and developers, just like we have voice actors or developers of the games. So we have a massive database of modders, and then it lists what they've worked on. And this is pretty rad. This is my mod page. I kind of use it as an example, so it's kind of busy. But our goal is to document each modder, what they've worked on, what they've contributed to, what they're credited on either their supportive role or an author role or developer role. And you can see this great mod example, and then the ones that I'm involved in, ones that I've contributed to, and then some resources. It's pretty cool because I know for a fact that when I look through that list, not only are there, I think, over 1,200 now, but you could see it's surprising who worked on what and how much collaboration goes on in the mod community. And I'm really surprised. I'm like, oh, I know that guy. Like, I can't believe he worked on this mod like 10 years ago. That's pretty rad. Another part that I'm super proud of is we document all the voice actors in mods. They're looking for mod actors or voice actors rather, or if they are looking to see who was the voice of this in this mod. I think that's a really cool resource to be able to have. And if people are looking for talent, I have all their socials on each of their pages, so you can contact them as well. I think that's pretty cool. At the top here, it's kind of like a quick bar. You'd see authors and developers, voice actors, and then all the different games. We split them up into games just because we have so many, which is pretty cool. You can see the name of it, the link to where it is, the author, a little ditty about it and when it was released. And we have them for each game that has mods. So whether it's Fallout 4, 3, New Vegas. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you one more thing. So wiki editing is kind of a little bit of a steep learning curve at first. We love making mod pages. And so if modders want to have their stuff up, they want it covered, they wanted their they can just reach out to us and we are more than happy to do it. I think all I need is a Nexus link. On the main page, there's this little thing at the end that says I want to build mod pages myself or I want wiki staff to build it for me. So that way people can ask us to do it or they can dive in and do it themselves. Oh yeah. So if there's groups of modders like the legendary Bone Zone and collective modding, and you can see like who's in each group. Like if you're part of a group, they have their little icon next to that, which I think is pretty cool. So that's kind of an overview of like the mod sections of the site. I think that it's really a big focus of the independent Fallout Wiki is opening up the site to document mods the same way that we document everything else. And it's been pretty rad. We've had a really positive reaction to that. The focus on mods is also extended to our staff members. The vast majority of them are modders. Not only the three of us have published mods, but a great deal of the rest of our staff are modders as well. So it gives like a pretty good perspective, I think. And we're really lucky to have that perspective in what we do. So Blubbin, I was going to ask you to kind of delve into like the other parts of the site, which might be of interest to sort of artists and community
So,
section and
yeah, let me just get a tab right now.
surprise, your turn.
It is. Oh dear lord.
Good to share the love because I'm really curious about, what people's favorite sections of the wiki are, or, sections that you guys have worked on. Like, how does the distribution of work? I'm curious about that too. While you're pulling stuff up, Blubbin, just How do the wiki staff kind of distribute who's in charge of edits for different sections?
It's largely just like everyone has a niche. No one is. We try not to like kind of make people feel like they need to go outside their comfort zone, right?
Or ask
To
permission.
where like,
It's like a volunteer.
because like, for example, I came up through like the community, right? I became active on like the wiki side of things later, but I was more Discord focused for like the majority of my time coming up. And even now, moving forward, I'm an overseer. I'm still community focused, right? While Kate is more editing focused, right? It's or like more like factual, like rewrites and like and Meat, like we talked about, is the technical guy. He's in the behind the scenes and like the CSS.
Hence the Aperture Laboratory shirt. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
I came into this iteration of Fallout Wiki because I had the idea of mining all of the conditional aspects of Fallout New Vegas dialogue. Like you'll have lines that they only play if you have like some certain threshold of a skill or if some particular thing has happened in a quest. And I wanted to catalog that out. I knew all the dialogue was actually on there already, but there's nothing in there that says like you'll only see this line if you've got unarmed 50 or higher or something like that. And a lot of the times folks that they come into the Discord, it's really just, hey, I've got an idea to try and do this or add this, and 99% of the time it's like, that sounds great, you should do that, and they just take it on.
So we can document like the percentage chance and stuff like that.
So you're going up Black Mountain, Neil stops you and goes, hey, you want to turn back, you're gonna get yourself killed. If you've got more than 50 in some combat skill, you can say, well, I can take care of myself. And he's like, maybe. If you don't have at least 50 in one combat skill, he'll be like, yeah, a lot of people say that and they get killed. Yeah, and that's just a conditional that's behind the scenes, and unless you know to look for it, because it's not like a speech check. It's not shown at all. It's just something that's rolling in the background that says, all right, well, if this is the case, you're going to see this line, and if it's not, then you'll see this other line. And I wanted to just see what that looked like for everything in the dialogue across New Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry, it's above my pay grade as well.
It sounds like quite a web. No, I like that idea because there is obviously a dialogue web that happens over time, and being able to map that, like I'm sure it's part data mining and part just, being diligent and testing. But I didn't mean to derail you guys. I know, Blubbin, you were going to pull up a section to talk about.
Yeah. Before we move on from the tech, I just want to like a massive props to like the technical team, like Meat, and Rurin and everyone. Just like this wouldn't be possible without them. It's they're critical to this.
Right. Actually, we owe a huge debt to Xera, who was the you may have seen him on today's earlier stream about Xedit, but he's brilliant and was the one who set us up to begin with, and gave us a huge head start, and we certainly wouldn't look as beautiful as we do today without his help.
But yeah, the community aspect, the community
stuff is awesome. It's pretty expansive too.
This is different section of the wiki, from the normal main space and the mod space. This is the community space is for things like really just anything community related, right? Like these sections on different YouTubers. It's got bios about them. It's a place for people can come and write their fanfics, and have those listed. Fan creations. You can see going down the line. Stuff about artists, fan artists, fan fiction, outside the vault. The Real World on Tour is a big project that we've been working on for a while that let me actually show you a little bit of. It's basically just collecting every single like real world thing in the series, setting it up.
Their equivalents.
The real world versions of things, like this one that was found from the Fallout 4 opening, this church in that's a real church in California. And this is just, I love this page, like these pages specifically. I've been working on these. So that image is broken. Let me fix that. There we go.
There's just so much like that is inspired by real world, and it's fun to document it, you know?
Document it. Again, it's important to know. And so this has its own little section, or also in the community space, there is a section for, like I mentioned, fanfics and stuff. And I'm going to use, it's a place for, say, roleplay groups to come in, right? And set up pages for their, groups, their organizations, put in their backstory, where it looks and is treated in the community section, at least, like a wiki page, like you would get for the NCR, I think. So, for example, I'm going to pull up the page for the Enclave Provisional Republic by a wiki member, Andrew F. Griffin. He's put so much work into this.
Right?
Like you can see, he's written
so
for his roleplay group that he's part of, and every member of the group has their own pages. It's all like, and this is just
detailed.
This is the part of the wiki that I have always been the most excited about. Just giving the community this place to kind of host their content and show it off. It's what the mod space is for as well, of just kind of giving people a platform.
I think that when it comes to like the expansion of some of the parts of the wiki that we have sort of focused on, the factions, lore overview pages, especially the pre-war setting, just making it really front and center, cutting it down so you don't have to really look very hard, like it's right in front of your face. I know I appreciate that because I'm kind of a scatterbrain, but just having those resources and making sure that it's super important that what you see on the wiki is can be verifiable and is sourced and isn't just kind of like headcanon or fluff or made up. It's a really trustworthy source, because the last thing we want is someone using our site as a resource and it being incorrect and then it making it into their mod incorrect, and that that's really the worst case scenario. So we take great strides to make sure that all of our pages are reviewed and sourced correctly, so that that sort of thing doesn't happen. Another part of it, in that same vein, is really the artwork. So verifying that everything, all the logos and faction icons and everything, are game assets, that they're not fan recreations or anything
AI
like they're
upscaled.
not AI
AI
upscaled, like
upscale.
that are really true game assets, so that they can be used and that they're genuine. So that's
Even better if we can find original source material that was used to build that stuff, in case somebody actually does want to
right.
Create some modified version of it to fit with their mod.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally true. We have a big push to put a lot of assets. One of our members, VC 59755, has been integral in getting NIF renders up on the site, which are one of my favorites because I think everything is just super cute and adorable. But all of those things get on there, there's just thousands of them, and having that as a resource and having fun doing it, I think is super cool. Yeah, I was gonna show. Let's see if I can pop back in.
Yeah, let's swap that. Blubbin, if you want to stop your stream, we'll pull up Kate.
Okay, yep. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, with the real world on tour, I just want to shout out Ratlore, who's been going through by themselves, just filling out so much stuff.
Yeah.
Great work. Because the wiki, it's a collaborative thing. It's
Right.
people coming in, and doing work here and there, and it's appreciated. It really is.
Right.
Looking at those drop downs, the number of community focused things you have on your wiki, making this a nexus of sorts, separate from obviously Nexus we're talking about a lot today, but making it a nexus for people to find others to collaborate with, work with, whether it be mods, whether it be all kinds of projects in and around Fallout. I love that. I just wanted to shout that out, that it's really neat how much this site has accomplished and grown over the last year.
Speaking of resources, yeah, that's a big part of it. Is a lot of people put their modding resource on GitHub or Google Docs, and I really wanted to offer the wiki as an alternative to that, like, to add pictures and make it really approachable. We have tons of resources from modders and content creators that you could see. Here are all of the authors and all of the stuff that they, want to teach you, from Bethesda Mod School, Bink Video, Magic Effects. We have so much stuff on here. It's pretty rad. And it's just really cool to see like everyone putting their stuff up there. We have tools. We cover the tools that are used in the game development, and then also covered the tool developers. So the people who make these tools like get a shout out as well. That's something that I think is pretty cool, because I'm like, oh, that's the person who's behind all the tools that I use every day. And you can see like who writes what, and give them some recognition. And we also have it by game too. So depending on, if you're working on Fallout 4 and you want to check out Fallout 4 resources, like, there it is. We also have a section on data mining. We list data miners in the community, their groups, information about Creation Kit, GEC, all the different tools as well. We have a couple new ones that we've just added to the wiki, and ones that people have asked us to add to sort of the drop down that they use pretty frequently. But yeah, you're right. I think that the focus on the mod space and the community space has really been very important to us to sort of spotlight.
You're talking about highlighting the people who are involved. Do you want to get into how people get involved, or how that grows? It's funny because you mentioned separate spaces, like talking about Discord. Does that operate separately from the wiki in a way? Like, are there these separate community spaces?
The wiki has its official Discord that is where most of our collaboration and work takes place. And it's also like a chill hangout spot, just for general Fallout things, general community things. We have it
game night, stuff like
separated.
that.
Yeah, like right now we're running Wiki Bingo, which is if you see a bingo logo at the top, you get 5 in a row. Then we give you a shout out. You get a cool badge. I think it's cool. We have trivia, movie nights, all sort of cool stuff like that. Sometimes you'll get me to play Among Us as well.
I love that sort of thing. Too many ouchies in chat says the best chill hangout spot. For real. Also, y'all, if you just take a look at the chat right now, if you're listening, there is a direct link to the Fallout Wiki in the chat if you want to click through and join.
Yeah, we're super grateful for the community that has supported us since day one, and to get involved in the wiki, it's super simple. I think all of us kind of stumbled, backwards into if you have a niche that you want to write about, you want to do, like, we are absolutely enthusiastic about that.
Like you mentioned niches, like we've got in the Discord, we've got Rico, who's just vehicles, all about vehicles, just going through finding every vehicle and like different like instance or in the games, and just like making notes of them. And if that's what is really what's appreciated and really valued, is like just the passion for like because that's, you get that of like the very specific passions, right? That everyone collaborates and builds together, to create this, Yeah.
No, you're totally right. And you can edit anything you want. We have a beginner's sort of training program called Schmaltz Tech University, which is just for beginners that can kind of get their feet wet, not make any mistakes, just learn the ins and outs of editing.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh,
she may have locked up and disconnected. Well, then there were 3.
Well, just what she was saying was that I think was that we're currently like about to start doing Point Lookout trivia, which we host every now and then. The trivia is like kind of a big part of our like identity. Oh, she's back.
Join back in, but I want to hear more about trivia.
Oh yeah, no, the trivia is just like a big part of our like identity that we've always done it. We've got people coming in, join different teams. The last one we did was it the Brotherhood trivia? Was it the Brotherhood Steel trivia? Was that the last one we did, Kate?
Yeah, and Point Lookout is next.
Point Lookout's next. And it's, wild just how it's gone. Like the trivia is just such a big part of our identity at this point that at the most recent, at New Vegas Day, we hosted the trivia.
Yeah.
Like actually the three of us
Yeah, the
were
three
up
of
on
us.
stage, hosting the trivia at New Vegas Day.
Plus Ped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pedernales Falls.
Pedernales was there.
Couldn't have done it without her. No way.
I heard she was a drink cryptid
No.
for the event.
She and me both. We had
Very
liquid courage.
nice. But no, was that surreal getting up there at the Pioneer Saloon?
Yes.
Or wait, what's it actually called?
It is the Pioneer Saloon.
yeah, not
Yeah,
the
Pioneer
game is called
Saloon.
Prospect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In-game is
Prospect.
Prospector. Yeah, on the porch on the back of the saloon, with
It was
everyone like in
surreal.
cosplay.
Is Easy Pete's
Just
chair there?
like
Yeah, he
in
does
the
sit out
front?
there, and he'll sign a picture of himself sitting out there for $20 for your holiday gifts.
It should be
Mhm.
25 for the skill check. Perfect.
I know it should
Exactly.
be,
Yeah.
but yeah. So that
was-
is that's kind of the whole thing. We're here and having a good time, and trying to spotlight everything that is kind of on the fringes that doesn't really get a lot of attention, and mods, communities, resources are three of those big pillars that we kind of added on top of just regular game information.
That is awesome. Well, before we wrap up, so we talk about editing. People are always editing. I noticed even when Blubbin goes to the page, he's like, "Oh, that's not quite right." Like you're probably always working, always adjusting. It's your baby.
Right.
I'm sure it is.
True.
Not to delve into controversy, but just mildly, is there any page, is there a page that is edited more than others that people kind of either disagree on the facts about or just constantly always new information being discovered?
I don't think there's anything necessarily controversial, but I know in the past, people trying to decide what type of government the NCR was something that went back and forth a lot. Just
Because
what to
we have a
call it.
bunch of weird information about the NCR government, with the fact they have a council, a Congress, a Senate, and they're all maybe three different things.
So kind of trying
The
to decide what
NCR
to call
government, it's like a game of telephone, that we're trying to piece together how it works.
When you focus on things being verifiable and validated, it does take away a lot of the ambiguity, and really all you end up with is the stuff where you simply don't have all of the information, and so it could be this thing, it could be that
Right.
thing, as opposed to no, it is this thing, no, it is this thing instead.
So it's just you just state this is what it says, and you don't draw a conclusion from that. If the reader sees that and draws their own conclusion, that's fine. But we just say what it says. If there's any ambiguity, we're not saying, oh, but this means this. That's
or
And
even
it's okay for us
contradiction.
not to know.
yeah.
Some things we won't know, and you don't have to fill in the gaps with guesses. We just don't know some things, and that's the reason that we're still talking about Fallout New Vegas. More than a decade later, is because there are some things that are just still unknown, and it's fun to talk about.
We know
100%.
more about the Republic of Dave's government than we do about the
Yeah.
NCR government.
That's right.
But I mean, are they a republic? I think that's kind of debatable as well.
It's called the Republic of Dave, whether it is or isn't a republic.
That's awesome.
know?
I like the idea of when something isn't fully delineated, that in order to be a comprehensive resource, you still need to include it. If you only went with things that were completely verifiable, it would be a much smaller wiki and also a little bit less inspirational. So being able to put all that data out there, okay, they say this and this and this, letting people draw their conclusions. I mean, that's one reason why we love it.
Right.
between fan fiction, head canons, actual canons, all that.
Right.
I just love that, and the fact that the
There's a
wiki
space for
can
it.
cover that. We don't have to wrap yet, but I just want to check in with you guys. Kate, did you have other stuff you wanted to cover tonight?
No, that was it. I gave you the spiel. Looks good.
What
about you guys?
I just kind of wanted to mention, just as an aside, I'm really proud of just the research that's been going on recently into more sort of neglected parts of the fan base. In the Discord, we have a group of people with Triangle City who have just been delving really deep into the development history of Brotherhood of Steel, right? The PlayStation Xbox game from the early 2000s, and just going deep into how it got made, the ins and outs. And I know Triangle's made a couple videos for his YouTube channel about it already, but I really just appreciate that, and I want to because it was kind of a neglected. A lot of people just kind of ignored that part of the franchise, but it's that's a shame, I think. And I appreciate because they've really gotten in depth, like scrounging through like years and years old archived things, to find developer statements talking about like creating the game. And I know Triangle found, I think he data mined, I think it was the Tony J poem that got unused from the files.
I'm not familiar with
which was a wild
this.
find. Okay, so Tony J voices both the Lieutenant in Fallout 1 and Addis in Brotherhood of Steel. And there was an unused thing in the files that I think it was Triangle found of him reading out the poem The Wasteland by, I think, T.S. Eliot. I think it's T.S. Eliot. But it's the poem The Wasteland.
Yep.
So it's
Yes,
the
Eliot.
Lieutenant, reading this poem, and it's wild. And it's just this crazy thing he found, and he uploaded it to his YouTube channel. And it's, as far as I know, it had never been uploaded anywhere before. As far as I'm aware,
nobody's likely ever seen that before because no one was data mining that stuff.
Brotherhood of Steel.
Right.
I love that there are those breadcrumbs there for people to find, and these connections to maybe the lesser played games or the unmade games. Like earlier we were talking about people moving on from Van Buren and some of their ideas on what to go from there. That's fantastic.
Totally agree.
Or even with the data mining too, finding stuff that had just been kind of taken for granted, like with Brotherhood of Steel. Until very recently, it was accepted that it was set in Texas, but in reality, nowhere in the game anywhere does it say it's set in Texas.
So kind of dispelling myths that.
Yeah, you can draw some inferences that it might be in Texas based off of the names that certain things have, but it is definitely not a proven thing. The sequel was going to be, at least according to the developer docs, set in Texas, but that doesn't mean that's where the first one was set.
Yeah.
And that was just in the last 3 or 4 months.
Right. It's super fun. Peel back all the different layers and discover all this stuff that I believed it too. I didn't look into it, and then when you find it, you're just like, oh, really? Is that we don't know that? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's neat the things that we start to fill in as rock solid when the truth is our minds just filled the gap, because it wasn't fully described. And as we learned earlier, you gotta mind the gap.
So easy.
Don't fall into that.
Yeah, mind the gap. It's so easy to do that. So as editors, it's just really important to be objective and to look at things that way, so that we're not sort of putting our own spin on it.
And even more so, as soon as you do that, the ability for that to persist on the internet and perpetuate itself is really strong. Like that we mentioned previously, the Benny Gecko thing, where one person thought that was his last name, and now if you look online, it's been on the internet since 2009, 2010, whatever, and it will always be on the internet, when in reality it's not true. It was never mentioned in the game, never mentioned anywhere else, but because somebody got it wrong so early on, it's going to be out there forever.
It's cemented, yeah.
I love that. That's one of the beautiful things about the internet and sites that kind of collate and collect all that, like the wiki. I'll be honest, the Benny Gecko thing, you talk about where it came from. And now I wasn't aware of that, but I kind of always thought that there was something I missed. For instance, it's not mentioned in the game. So I had never thought of him as Benny Gecko, for years. First couple times I played through New Vegas, it wasn't until becoming more involved in the Fallout community 2015, 2016 that I heard that. And then I'm like, oh, did I miss something? And once, like you're saying, just kind of ran with it without knowing the actual original source. That's just really neat.
So we actually just recently started doing a popular misconceptions section on different pages, so we can kind of collect those things and get in front of them, essentially, so somebody doesn't think, oh, you missed this. It's, no, we know about that, and here's why it's not on here.
So I think I remember, because this was a while ago with the Benny Gecko thing, I think I remember the origin of it. This was once again with Triangle City, of I think we tracked it back to a press release from before the game came out, right?
Yeah.
That was talking about the different factions and players, and it made a mention of Benny being the head of something called the Gecko family, which, as best we can tell, is probably like an early name for the chairman, right?
Right, the tribe before they became the chairman.
Yeah. Yeah. And what we think is that they saw the name, like the head of the gecko family, and thought literal family, right? In the same way that like the
Fair.
Nurino families,
You know,
like it's
that
the
makes
Bishop
sense.
fam, you know, yeah, there's the Bishops, and their last names are actually Bishop, and the Mordinos and them.
Mhm.
So I think they made the assumption that that meant this group, their last name was actually Gecko, you know.
And the first
But that
creature people
never-
fight being a gecko. I mean, it just fits. It's so New
And
Vegas. Like
yeah.
most people, the golden geckos being some of the first they see.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, and it just never, it just snowballed from there.
Mhm.
And yeah, as far as I can tell, that's where it originated, like that press release. But yeah, it's interesting.
It's fun to like sort of follow those threads back and figure out where things came
Mhm.
from. And
Like,
It's a
And
big
then
part
we
of the
ended up
fun
with
for it.
that checker suit Photoshop job on the gecko.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
This is funny.
Kobold loves that.
Yeah, it's great.
Beautiful. Well, this has been brilliant, guys. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Kate.
Thanks again for hosting us.
Well, thank you all. I want to give you guys
Of
a chance
course.
to shout out anything you want to shout out tonight. Should I just drop the Discord in again for people?
Yeah, I think we just owe a great thanks to everybody who has supported our site and lifted us up and all of the contributors. Like it's really a huge collaborative force and I feel lucky every day to be a part of it.
Like, yeah, it's a group effort, and everyone pulls their way. Everyone does their helps, and we couldn't have done it by ourselves.
I mean, honestly, we're the lucky ones having you guys as a resource, being so dedicated to Fallout and
Thank you.
giving this to us too. Like seriously. Now it's twitter.com/thefalloutwiki, right?
Mhm.
On Twitter? Okay, let me drop that
Yes.
one in too. I've got it on the scroll on bottom, I typed one
got
or two
this.
things wrong. Like I did Twitter at Fallout Wiki. No, it's the Fallout Wiki. I know better, but what have you? Okay,
It's all
typed
good.
now correctly. Follow them on Twitter too, you all. I want to say thank you to Kate Aces. You have been fantastic.
Thank you.
Blubbin, thank you so much for coming out tonight. And
was a blast.
MeatServo.
Thank you for having me.
Were excellent. This has been so good hearing about what you guys are up to. So before we go, we are going to raid out. Also, I was just going to say one last time. If people are interested in donating, there's the link. We are still going to be fundraising for Make-A-Wish tomorrow as well. We've got a full schedule up ahead of us. The great thing about the way we're doing C3, it's like when you go to your favorite convention and you got to stand in line for the main hall and you're there for an hour. Then you get the comfy seat and you're watching and you're like, oh, this is great. And you can just stay in the main hall until you have to go to the bathroom. And then what are you going to do? You got to leave. But here, comfort of your living room, just get right in, join the raid train. You're in the main hall, best seats in the house all day.
Right.